Ready or not, everyone, it's Neon Valley.
We're back.
This is where the theme song plays. Edit of us shirtless with like hella chicks and hella dudes, because we're inclusive, like surrounding us, and they're like not sexually. We need to make this very clear. I feel like this got weird super fast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Neon Valley podcast. This is our media club where we come back every week, every single week, without fail. It has never failed once. We watch a movie, TV show, maybe it's an album, who knows what it is that one of us has suggested. We come back and we talk about that thing. This week, we will be talking about Ready or Not. That was my suggestion.
Good luck.
Actually, I saw it in theaters when it came out in 2019. This has been a long time coming. I kind of forgot you had never seen it, so I thought it'd be really cool to revisit this one with the sequel. In theaters now, I believe, actually. I think it might be in theaters right now.
You scared me so bad for a second when you said revisit this with the sequel. I was like, I did not watch the sequel. I don't know what you're talking about.
With the sequel, ... coming out now. Yeah. Don't worry.
I was like, was that why he was questioning me?
Don't worry, it's not a double feature. We watched Ready or Not, the 2019, I'd say like comedy, horror, thriller. You know, it wears multiple hats. It stars Samara Weaving, Adam Brody, Mark O'Brien. Never really seen him in anything else, I don't think. It's a movie about a couple getting married. They get married at a large mansion owned by the groom and, the family, the groom.
Can I say?
Yes.
There's scenes where people are running out of it, and it looks like the mansion from Glass Onion. Yeah, they're running out the doors, down the staircase, and I was like, is that the same one from the Glass Onion?
Nope.
But yeah, they get married at this super kind of ritzy mansion owned by the groom's parents. After they get married, it's sprung on her that they need to play a game.
And then you are officially part of the family.
It's a family tradition. They pick randomly what game they're going to play, and she gets hide and seek, which is the big no-no game. This will be a complete spoiler review, by the way. Going into this, we will be saying our initial thoughts and everything like that, but then we'll kind of be going through all the beats. So we will be spoiling it. So Mitchell, what did you think of the movie?
My review comes in 3 phases.
Okay.
So, my initial thoughts when I started watching it, for the first maybe like 10 to 20 minutes, I was like, this is so obvious. They're just copying it's this trope. I was like, I've seen this done before.
The menu.
And then I was like, well, no, not even that. I was like, this whole idea of like, oh, they're this family. And I was like, he's going to be the one that ends up going to save her in the end anyways, or at least tell her, and then he's going to die. And they just like ripped off this formula. And then I was like, wait, I have seen this before. So at that point, I was like, okay, I have to subtract all the things that had made me angry about being like, this is so obvious. The only part that I will still say was I didn't like the aunt. And I don't remember not liking her as much the first time watching it. But the second time watching it, it's just
the spiky hair.
Yeah. I was like, it's just, there was one line. I wrote the note down here. You continue to exist. I was like, I feel like an AI could come up with that line. Like there were certain things where I was like, her character was just so far out there.
I like her a lot. She's very, how do you say, cliche in a sense. But her character makes sense in terms of like why she is that way. I mean, she is it's a perfect place to start there. In the intro of the movie, it starts many years prior. Alex and Adam Brody's character, Alex and Daniel. Daniel seems like the more like overbearing older brother that's like, here, get in the closet, and has Alex get in the closet and stuff. And you don't really know what's going on. And then like an older guy comes over and asks for their help. He's clearly being like chased down or hunted. And that's the first scene where Daniel calls everyone in. And that was the aunt, Helena's, her husband. So it's supposed to be like, you know, she kind of went mad. I mean, because that's the only time it's happened. They kind of make it a point that it's the one time that this has happened in the past like 30, 40 years or something.
It's not like this is like every year they're knocking people out. So yeah. So I'll say this: a lot of those initial gripes that I think I had about it feeling like this is so like repetitive, it's not new.
Oh, okay,
I was
yeah.
like,
So
okay,
you have seen this before.
So yes, I have.
This is a first. This is a first on Neon Valley.
Yes, in fact, there's been a time when I recommend something that I haven't even seen. This is the first time I've accidentally watched something that I have seen. The two things I took away from it was on the second watch, it felt more fragmented. Like
really,
the parts it did were funny, were good. The parts it did scary were good. The parts it did thriller slasher, I think, were good. But I was reminded I'm watching a movie every time it went between it. It didn't at least feel like it naturally went. It was too jarring because there were such good moments where one of the times that I actually liked the sister of Daniel, Ellen, I think her name was.
You mean his wife? The one?
No, Daniel's sister.
Well, so Alex's sister too, the one who does the cocaine?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember her name. I'm sorry. Emily.
Oh, Emily, not Ellen. Emily. So Emily at one point gets like handed like a crossbow, and I think her dad is like yelling at her to shoot. She's like, I don't know how to fucking use this.
Damn it, Emily! I don't know what I'm doing.
That's funny. That's
Dude,
real.
the guy Googling how to use it in the bathroom, like watching a YouTube video.
What the hell is this? How old is this thing?
Yeah,
I like that. I thought it felt so real.
I was like, that is hilarious. That is real. But it's almost like I'm like, I think it did the horror really well. I think it did the comedy really well. But it's hard for me to look at it and be like, it just feels like one natural flow of the movie.
I see. So you just feel like the way they were stitched together didn't quite feel cohesive for you? Like,
yeah, maybe
interesting.
It was just the transition between scenes or the timing of when they had used it. Also, one thing I'm just going to say as a married person who watched his wife with her wedding dress, no fucking way she's wearing her wedding dress to play games. I don't know why she didn't change. Like, why did she not change? There was no rule that she had to stay in her wedding dress.
I think the only I think the only reason that explains that is because the aunt is like already waiting in their room and is like, get downstairs now, and like makes them like go immediately. Like they were about to hook up. Remember, like, so she was gonna take it off.
Oh, okay. So I guess, yeah, I was like, you're not even gonna change, but okay. All right,
yeah, so I think that's the excuse, which again is the aunt. So she is your crux of this film, I could tell.
I don't think I like the aunt.
No, well, I will say this will be a fun conversation because I disagree almost entirely. I love this movie. I think that it's seamless in its approach to the kind of horror black comedy mixed with the kind of like lighthearted stuff that I don't know. I think it works really well. And also the ending for me is what elevates it for sure. It's a great movie overall, in my opinion, but that ending is really what brought it up for me. And even watching it a second time, knowing the ending is coming, it was still as enjoyable for me. I thought that might have been something that ruins it because it's not like The Sixth Sense, where now when you know the end, you can watch the movie and be like, oh, here's the little details.
Yeah, it doesn't like give you any more insight throughout.
But I don't think that makes it worse for any reason. It's just an awesome ending. It's like it evokes like Quentin Tarantino in a way, where it's just balls to the wall. We're going all out for the last 5-10 minutes, and we're going to leave you feeling good good in so many terms. It depends on how you define good, I guess. Was there any moments where you felt like, in particular, which we'll kind of go through the scenes, and I'm not trying to like call you out, I'm just curious. Was there like any beats of horror mixed with the comedy where you're like, oh, I'm pulled out of this? Like that was just a bad moment. And as we go through it, they might pop up more in your mind.
Yeah, so like the one I had mentioned about I didn't like a lot of Aunt Helene's lines, and it was one of those when you have characters like Grace, like even like I'd say like Daniel's character. I think he played a really great like kind of like
Adam Brody is so good.
And so when you have that character, and then you have she's the brown haired one, like it's funny, but it's so corny that compared to to what they're providing in the scenes, because the range that they were providing was like fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, Samara Weaving is like, I was going to say the main actress in this, so good. I think she should be in more of these kind of like horror, like she's a great final girl is kind of what it's known as in horror films, in a lot of these slashers. And it's always the trope of the this last surviving girl who fights off the villain. Yeah. And I was going to wait to talk about it, but just because we're talking about it right now, the scream that she does, it is so fucking visceral, and like I've never heard a scream like that.
Again, like you had really good acting, but one thing is this movie does a lot of explaining itself.
Really? Okay, maybe. I don't want to push back yet because maybe it does, and I just don't notice.
Like I don't know. Like I felt like the whole explanation of the games, like was more spoon feeding, like, hey, we're gonna play games, even though they had been talking about how we're gonna have to play games. You have to come downstairs to play a game. Oh, everyone's played a game.
Well, I think what they were trying to help make clear was that, at least in my opinion, was that Ready or Not it's not Ready or Not. Hide and Seek is the only game that causes this fucking ritual. If you get Old Maid, like the one guy with the, I love that line. What the fuck is Old Maid?
I got chess.
I got Old Maid. Seriously, what the fuck is Old Maid?
Again, it was ironically like a really great character, because the fuck is Old Maid? Like that was a very real line that, again, it's where the comedy worked well in a scene that became kind of like tense and serious. But I also have to give it that this is not, it's not a horror in the sense of, in a horror movie, you would want the main character to maybe find pieces or learn things through like being trapped in a prison and like discovering something that was written down in a cell. Where something like this it's more fast paced because there's that kind of action element to it a bit as well.
Yeah.
So you don't want to drag out her having to discover it, because a lot of what you're doing is putting her in more perilous situations, where this is more her being active.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it is like an action, not an action film, but there's like action set pieces, and like I would say there's some high intensity
sections.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once the game starts, there's no real like moment of reflection and slow down.
Exactly.
So I get that, but I think that's what I like about it too, because it's also snappy. It's an hour 30. It's a real quick movie.
Yeah, it's not super long.
Doesn't overstay its welcome. Yeah, you know what? Before we get into any more like little critiques, how about we kind of start off, we'll go scene by scene somewhat, kind of make our way through the movie, and that way we can break apart the things that we did like and didn't like a little bit more.
Yeah.
So after that intro scene, we have a flash forward to the present. We're at the wedding day. This is where we're introduced to our characters, Samara Weaving, who plays Grace, and then Alex, played by, let me look at his name again. I'm so sorry, dude. I've never heard of you before. Mark O'Brien, which he does great. He's actually really good, because I will say his acting made me feel like he was 100% on Grace's side from the beginning. Like, yes, he loves his family, but he loves Grace. At least that's what I felt.
So I was suspicious of him, but I think it might have been like a little bit of me remembering like little pieces of like, don't trust that guy. Like,
yeah, you've seen this, but you've done this before 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, guys, don't do it. There's something. He's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because I think this movie is a lot better as a theater movie than an at-home movie.
That's fair. It is a good like group of friends movie as well, whether or not just a theater movie, but like getting responses from people, and it's a movie you can talk over a little bit without missing too much. And I don't take that as a negative. Like, that can be a negative, for sure. But in this case, I think it's just because, like, how you had said that they kind of over-explain things, I think they do a pretty good job at keeping things vague enough to the point where, of course not on my sequential viewings afterwards, but on my first viewing, I thought I was smarter than the movie and was like, there's no curse. This family is just doing this because they're locked into a tradition that their fucking ancestors made up. There's no curse, because there is no inclination that there is any curse for the first hour and 20 minutes of the movie. There is just these rich old people who are convinced that they have to do it. You know what I mean? That mystery of like, is there actually a supernatural element, or are they just trapped in their own traditions, really works. Because, at its core, I think this movie is like, while not being the most profound movie in the world or trying to say anything crazy, it's a really fun metaphor for family trauma. Marrying into a family that maybe is a little broken, or that there's things that maybe behind the scenes, but then like this is like the nth degree. Yeah, I'm a little sad you didn't like it as much. But okay, so anyway, I will say, going back to the Alex character, there is a moment before they get married where the mom approaches Samara Weaving's character Grace, and they're sitting together.
Yep.
I do think that they had like a genuine moment. That was another time where I was like, okay, it seems like the mom actually likes Grace too.
Yeah, that one definitely felt like genuine. That she really like, and I don't think, at least with her. Fitch and Emma might have been different, but with the mom, I didn't feel like she wanted it to happen. Mm-hmm. But it was very clear that once she pulled the card, that gotta die now. Like,
hey, you don't have a choice. Yeah, which is another theme.
Very serious.
Yeah, which is again, it's kind of low hanging fruit, but something that's not really talked about much with like these kind of eat the rich movies. Like I mentioned The Menu earlier, which came out after this. So I don't think this movie was harping on that at all. I was kind of joking about the theme of the eat the rich kind of thing. What I like that this movie touches on is what rich people are willing to do to keep their wealth. Yeah. Like they will kill their own family and backstab their own friends if it means that they won't go back to being poor and having to shop at Walmart. There is a moment when they're talking, the mother and Grace, where Alex is looking up at them and he kind of has these like lustful eyes, like the woman of my dreams. And it's funny because with the knowledge of what we have at the end of the movie, I'm wondering if he was looking at his mom. And it just kind of looked like he was looking at Grace.
Honestly, I didn't get those vibes, and I am going to pretend like they didn't happen.
And let me, I shouldn't have used the word lustful. I meant more like loving, endearing eyes of just just lovey eyes, I should say.
What I would say is maybe more of the fact that his mom was the only one that probably cared to understand him,
also
or
true.
Cared to welcome Grace into the family. So she was like the only one that he was comfortable and genuinely felt like he lost. Whereas dad was kind of an asshole who was just enforcing things.
Yeah, I do love the dad though. And I think, to be fair, I think there's a vibe that the dad didn't necessarily want it to happen either, but he's also not upset that it happened. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think any of them wanted it to happen, but some of them were okay with it happening.
But remember this too about them. When they accidentally killed their staff, they were just going to throw them to the pigs to get eaten.
Oh, yes.
So there's also a moral line of like, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to family, because she was going to be family, right?
That's the difference. I'll give you that. Like outside of the family circle, like you literally just food for the pigs.
Which I do think that the waitress thing is a great running gag of them just constantly being killed, which one of them does have one of the worst kills in the movie, which we'll get to in a moment, but it's fine. Wedding happens. We get to the game night. We were talking about how they were going to have sex, but then the Aunt Helena's in the room already and like screams at them, which I do think is funny. I don't know how she got there so fast, but either way, she leaves. Oh wait, there's back tunnels. Never mind. I do know how she got there that fast. They actually show that later. All right, whatever. They go downstairs. He goes on, like you said, there is a bit of a long monologue about the game, but I like the setup of the scene where they're passing around the box, around the table. They say you put in the blank card.
Yeah, he wasn't just standing there. There was things happening throughout it. I think, and I don't know, maybe it's just attention span in movies compared to what is movie pacing now, where like a monologue that long feels like a long time.
I guess, yeah. I guess what works for me, and To be fair, this might be something about your second watch that wasn't as like important, you know what I mean? Like in the moment. But while he's doing the monologue, I think it does a great job of also still setting up these characters because of how they react to the box. Helena treats it with like a bunch of respect, right? And then like Fitch is just kind of like, the fuck is this thing? Adam Brody's character doesn't even like look at, he like takes it and immediately passes it, you know? So clearly like there's something weird with it. So I like that even though this monologue is kind of setting up something that we already kind of know if you know the plot going into the movie and all this stuff, it still is kind of setting up all the characters of how they all work internally. And some are just played for jokes, but they still, I think they work. So we get the card scene. She puts the card in. They get ready or not. The hide and seek. I keep wanting to say ready or not. I should mention for people who aren't going to watch the movie but listen to this anyway for some reason, the reason they have to play this game is because like 2 generations prior or 3 generations prior, his great-great-grandfather,
I would just say he was great.
Yeah.
I don't think he was great.
Or just great-grand. It might have even been just great-grandfather, but I think it was great-great-grandfather. Yeah.
1 to 2 greats worth of grandfathers.
At least. We're talking the greatest. So, of grandfathers. One of their grandfathers was like an old seaman, and I don't like how he puts emphasis on the word seaman, who made a deal on one of his ships with what was his name? LaBelle. Mr. LaBelle. So they make a deal that he says, if you can solve my puzzle box, I will invest in whatever you want to do in the future. So he spends all night. He's able to solve the puzzle box. So LaBelle then agrees to invest in a card trading company, like a card game company. And then it eventually blew up into a board game company, and then he's investing in sports teams, I think he mentions.
I was trying to figure out what he meant by that. Like, are you getting branding, like, permission from sports teams to make cars? Like, what do you mean you're investing in the sports team?
I don't know. I that's a good point, because I always assumed it meant he just owns team, like he owns the Dodgers for some reason, you know, but I don't know why.
Like he said teams, like he's putting money into multiple. Why would you put money into multiple teams?
Well, don't I think multiple teams are owned by one conglomerate, right? That's like a thing. That's a pretty common thing, isn't it?
Each team is owned by its own owner.
I have no idea. What if it's teams in different sports? Gotcha there. What if he owns a hockey team, a baseball team, a football team? And
I don't know about that one. I don't see why there would be.
Gotcha there, buddy. The La Domas family, baby. They can't be beat. So anyway, no, they are a very rich, substantial family that clearly got funding by a mysterious, nefarious figure. Again, the story seems sketchy, but it doesn't necessarily reek of supernatural. It could just be like some rich guy who's like fond of games that is willing to invest.
They don't make it ever explicit that like he summoned a demon that traded for like they never talk about this supernatural entity, we'll call it.
Exactly. So anyway, that's when the game is set off and she pulls, like I said, hide and seek. Again, that's another great moment where they all are just silent and Samara Weaving is just like, are we really gonna play? Hello? Like she's almost like waiting for someone to respond. And just from their reactions, you can tell like, okay, like shit's going down. So they tell her she can go hide. I do love her reaction of like, you can tell she's not really taking it seriously. Like we know she should, but she doesn't know.
Of course she doesn't. She thinks she's like, let's just get this over with. Like whatever.
Yeah. She hides in the dumbwaiter first, right? I believe.
Yep. Is that what it's called? I know it's that elevator pulley thing.
Yeah. I don't know where it got the name. Dumbwaiter is the name though. I mean, I literally
like a lazy Susan, like things that make people's lives easier. They're like, you know what? We should berate it.
Look at this fucking idiot box. Yeah. You're so right. Yeah, because I think, now that I say it out loud, I think it is something where it's like, oh, instead of having the waiter bring the tray of food from upstairs to downstairs, he can just wheel it down. Now he's a dumb waiter. Now it's a dumb waiter. Wow.
I don't know. Like it just seems aggressive to call these like handy instruments insults.
We are not creative as a species. By the way, that's what I always think of. I know this is a bit of a high thought at the end of the day, but when I first realized what the word movie really like meant, I couldn't stop laughing. Because it's like, it's a picture that moves. What do we call it? It's a bit movie. Clearly shit goes down. They grab all their weaponry. How did you feel about the fact, I like their whole thing about like sticking to tradition, quote unquote, but only like when it actually benefits them in a way?
There was a few times where the rules, I feel like, were not clearly explained. And sometimes when they were, like, okay, what was one of the rules? Her fiance could not help them, right?
No. That wasn't a rule.
That wasn't a rule?
No, he just, he starts freaking out and, like, goes off. And they're like, you stay here. You clearly aren't going to be able to, like, handle this. Like, the mom kind of tells him, like...
I don't know why I thought or got the impression that he was told, like, you can't participate. Like, you're not, like, allowed to as part of the rules.
No, I don't think it's a rule. I think the mom just says, like, you can't handle this. Stay behind. Like, I can tell it's going to be hard for you. Like, almost as lending an olive branch. Because, again, I think the mom is genuine. I think she's like, I'm sorry we have to do this, but we have to do it. And I won't make you do it type of thing.
So I'll say this, for their characters and for the story, I think it makes sense that, like, we're very strict on tradition as long as, you know, it benefits us. Like, again, like, it's hide and go seek, but they can trap her in their house so she doesn't really have a way to escape.
Yeah. And, like, they're not using the cameras, but, like, maybe later they kind of do, but then, like...
so also, again, I was like, so what part of this is, like... Especially because it ends up being real. So what part of the rules were they allowed to fudge versus, like, what weren't maybe real rules and it was just, like, tradition?
I liked that because, you know, while I do appreciate something that has, like, a good foundation of lore and, like, I'm learning, like, what are the rules and, like, all this stuff. With this movie, it felt, again, when you don't really know what the truth is, as those little things start, like, threads start breaking apart, it almost kind of becomes red herrings where you're like, well, wait, okay, is any of this fucking... In the very intro scene, I didn't mention, they wear, like, these crazy masks when they're carrying...
Oh, yeah.
Almost like fleshy kind of looking masks.
And the kids in the present day, when they're running around the house, they're running with those masks.
And there's a throwaway joke where when they're arguing over what's like tradition and what's not, because they're like, well, it's not our fucking fault he wasn't born during the time of cameras. That's not tradition. That's just fucking stupid. He says, like, well, wait, why don't we wear the masks? Oh, we just did that the last time because, you know, it's the 80s. My dad was crazy. So it's like nothing, like, what is actually but to be fair, that's kind of how traditions in family work, right? Where it's like, oh, when did we start drinking, you know, this specific drink every Christmas? And it's like, I don't know, your uncle brought it 5 years ago and now we just drink it every Christmas now.
Because somebody decides it once. Yeah, no, and again, it's one of those, until you see the ending and you know that it's real, it doesn't affect the story. And they kind of, like, to your point, when they explain those situations, they're kind of reinforcing that, like, yeah, we're gonna say things are that, but sometimes it's just because it was someone's decision and it wasn't tied to whatever is actually causing this.
Yeah, it feels like the only rule, if we had to say there's one, is kill the person before sunrise. That feels like...
Or be...
Yeah, because literally at a certain point, they, like, don't even have the ritual table anymore once we get near the end. Like, they're, like, when they're really desperate, they just throw her on the fucking table and they're like, fuck it, we're doing it here. Like, it doesn't even matter at that point, I guess. Like,
yeah, it's just more about, like, it's almost like all of that was just them having fun. Like, that's another way to look at it, is yes, they know it has nothing to do with that. That's just where they get their kicks from.
Yeah, no, that's another great point. Yeah, just the way that these rich people can make this atrocity more fun.
They make it a game. They make it sport because they spend so much money to get everything else. This is the one thing that they can't just get easily. So they make a whole.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. Did they make you read The Most Dangerous Game in high school or middle school? Do you know what that is?
No.
It's this is surprising because I feel like this was something that when I was in school, it was like 2 or 3 different classes told me about this book. So it's one of those things where as I got older, I'm like, yeah, this is a thing that everybody knows. And when I bring it up, people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't even know what the writer's name is, but it's called The Most Dangerous Game. And it's about, from what I remember of it, it's about a rich guy who owns an island, who brings people to that island with the sole means of hunting them. He had hunted every big game across the world and was able to kill all of it. And man is the most dangerous game. Many films and like books and TV shows have kind of adapted that as it's gone on. And this feels like a spiritual successor to that idea of the rich people hunt. Speaking of the hunt, what really kind of cements it for her character that this is real, because her husband is trying to tell her, like, he's very exacerbated and like trying to convince her that it's real once he like is able to sneak into the room and stuff. But they hide behind the bed once they're in the bedroom. And that's when one of the I want to say I keep wanting to say waitress.
Yeah, I think I gave it to them earlier. They're
not a steward.
Do they call them
servant? That doesn't sound right.
I don't like that word. I mean, they could
maid.
Butlers.
They're not maids. They're kind of. What the fuck do they call them? Do they call them servants? That's
attendants.
Do they have names?
I can't remember what they refer. They did call them by names. I'll give them that.
Oh God, that looks bad on me. I do like the joke though, where when the one died, like 2 or 3 of them at different times kept being like, "Oh, she was my favorite." I'm like, "Oh, I liked that one." Like,
again, it showed the disconnect between they saw it as a novelty, like, "Oh, I really like that car."
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no emotion. They're not like upset. It's she was a good one. She was a good one.
Throw it in the trough. Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so sorry. Either way, she comes in the room and somebody thinks that it's Grace in a spur moment and ends up shooting her. I believe it's Emily because she's all coked out.
I'm pretty sure it's Emily.
Yeah, because she's coked out of her mind and blows her face off.
What fucking wedding dress?
I thought that's a great scene too, because like it pretty much has been a comedy up until that point. Like, sure, the intro scene is a little jarring, like, oh, what's this? But that gunshot, her immediately being dead, and just you can like hear her, like, it's rough, and it really like grounds the moment of like, oh, this shit's real. Something I really liked is when she's trying to escape after she gets the gun from one of the main rooms, and she has that moment where she like kind of becomes the final girl. Throughout the film, her wedding dress is constantly being ripped off piece by piece. But I love the shot of her coming out with the gun and she has the fucking rack of bullets and just...
Oh, yeah. I wish there was more scenes of her just like being a badass.
I almost liked that there wasn't, though, only because in a weird way, it gave her this plausible deniability where she's not like a merciless asshole. The movie gives her this excuse a few times where like there's 2 separate times where she would have just straight up blown someone's head off if the gun wasn't empty. Like, she would shoot them in the fucking face, point blank.
Yo, she was not hesitating. She was not waiting. She was not gonna trip while she was trying to get away. She was just gonna do it and get it done.
So I think what's really smart about this movie is that it shows us that she's willing to do it. She is this character that will do anything, but we never see her actually blow someone's head off or kill anyone. So we as an audience still really like her, and we never have to be like, ooh, but I didn't like how she just shot the butler point blank, like...
Yep.
I like those moments where she has these badass kind of scenes, and I don't usually like these jokes that undercut themselves, but I do like how she has this badass build up and then just looks in the mirror and is just like, oh fuck. Like she's not even like impressed. She's just like, Jesus Christ. Actually, I think she says Jesus Christ. I think
feel like that more because I feel like that's the realistic response is like, what the fuck is happening? Like that, like if you're really looking at yourself and you're like, I was literally getting married hours ago.
Yeah. It's something that is missing from those moments in movies where it's like the badass person at, John Wick looking in the mirror and tightening his tie. You would, in reality, you look in the mirror and see yourself covered in all these people's blood and disheveled. You'd be like, oh, fuck. Like, what? I haven't looked at myself yet. Like, this is crazy. But I do love that kitchen scene. How did you feel about those side characters, like the butler, the dad, things like that, ones that we haven't really touched on yet?
I honestly think that the acting just in general in this, it was all well done. I liked the characters. I didn't like the Aunt Helene, apparently. She's
the exception to the rule. It's understandable.
Sorry.
Well, don't we all have that one crackpot aunt, One crazy Aunt Helena.
That's why. Is it too real?
You're like, I don't like confronting that.
I'm going to movies to escape things. Specifically my crazy aunt.
One of the messier parts of the film, in my opinion, is once she escapes the house and is essentially being like tracked down by the butler, slash security guard. It feels like I lost a sense of where the fuck we were. Because she runs out of the house and she like goes into this like big sprawling yard. And then she like goes through a gate, which is a cool scene. I like where she's like ripping herself through the gate.
Oh, yeah.
Really visceral with that. The one sharp piece of the gate, like cutting through her flesh and this.
Oh God, dude, that was like that was painful to watch.
Yeah, that was tough, but cool scene. And I just was confused because then she's outside of the gate. Butler like kidnaps her again and then drives her into the house, but they're still far enough away from the house where she's able to like distract the driver and kick him. And then like while they're on, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I was just confused about like how far away from the house are we? How far did she run? Why are we able to drive this long?
I don't know.
Confusing.
Well, I thought it was like a separate like butler house.
I mean, to be fair, they probably do own like 10 acres of land or whatever the fuck,
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I had other notes around that. No, not specifically around that.
There's some pretty like hardcore like viscera and gore. We mentioned like the scene where she goes through the fence and everything, but there's the moment where her hand, she's in the barn and that little shithead fucking has one of the guns, Emily and Fitch's son, forget his name, but one of their sons. It's funny because that moment does really feed in well even later when Emily and Daniel, Adam Brody's character, are talking out in the thing, and he's like, we can't keep doing this. Our family is fucking awful.
Oh yeah.
We should just die. What if we just, maybe we should die? And she says, do my children deserve to die? And for a half a second, you're kind of like, oh man, maybe that's a good point. And then you're reminded immediately like, oh, that kid's already fucked. Yeah, that's right. He shot her.
Yeah, I will say this. I remember on my first watch, I was not expecting that. But maybe I should have, because the beginning of the movie, they kind of show you that these are the kids in this family.
Yeah. And it echoes what Daniel did. And you can tell he sees that in that moment, kind of like where that acting really does come through as well, where you can tell he's devastated by the fact that this kid is already infected by this fucking ritual disease, And
again, it makes Daniel's character like validate and kind of like, listen, like we do need to go, like we're awful people.
Yeah. But like you were saying as well, is that scene where she gets, after she's shot in the hand, where she falls into this goat sacrifice pit, which...
That's right, because that happened right before she climbs the... Oh, dude, that part...
Which, first of all, infection. There are dead carcasses everywhere. Infection.
Here's the thing. I was so mad about Helene that I totally stopped focusing on all of the medical attraction. Because can we also talk about something that nobody talks about in horror movies? The amount of potential blood pathogen diseases that can be transmitted.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, they never want to talk about it in the movies.
Nope.
Those characters have to live with that.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting. You want to talk about specific blood pathogen diseases that are passed from people? And
No, I just want people to be aware that in these horror movies, when they're thrown in pits and it's like 20 gallons of blood, where's all that blood coming from? Is it clean blood?
True.
How many diseases that might be worse than whatever jigsaw contraption they were set up on. So
such a good point.
Just be aware. This is a PSA.
Yeah.
Go take care of yourself.
Yeah, and
America.
go watch Philadelphia. It's a movie about a blood pathogen. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, okay. I was like a sports team.
It's about AIDS.
The city.
To kind of wrap it up here. So after she gets trapped by the butler, she's able to escape with this whole. I believe she like kicks him in the back of the head or something. She steals the car after she like chokes him out on the ground. I do remember that.
I can't remember how she knocks him out. I don't know why like that. I just blocked out like the butler.
I think she kicks him a few times because she kicks him in the back of the head or something, and everybody on the webcam is like, oh, because they're like watching from inside the house or something.
Oh, yeah.
So she steals the car. There's a funny like OnStar moment. I do think that's pretty good.
The car is reported stolen. It's going to shut down. But I love that she's actually talking with like Rep who's trying to help her, and he's like, all right, well, you have a good night, man.
Yeah, and like for some reason my gut reaction is that's stupid, but at the same time I'm like, no, I think that is the protocol. If a car is reported stolen and the person from the car is saying like, oh no, I have an emergency. Oh no, you're just trying to trick us. The car is reported stolen. That is a natural line of thinking.
And it's funny because like those were moments where I didn't, and you know me, I will typically like fault the logic of a movie if I feel like that is not how you would do that. But again, not only that, he already knows that it's been reported stolen, so the police have probably contacted them or they've contacted the police if it's also like the security system. So they're like, hey, we know you're in this car. We're shutting it down because the owners of the car said you shouldn't be in it. So again, she could be like, they're crazy murderers, and they'd be like, well, we'll relay that to the police. But like, they're not going to stop, I think.
So you know what's interesting is do we then have to assume that the police are in the pocket of this rich family? Because why didn't the police show up? Did they like, if the car was reported stolen, it was shut down by OnStar, that means the police know where the car is. Even if the butler showed back up and was like, oh, don't worry, I got my car back, the police would still show up to arrest the person who stole it. Why did the police never show up? Well, they do at the end.
I'm not gonna lie. Unless they were... Well, no, because again, to the point is if you have that OnStar and a rich family would, like, they're going to have the ability to track the car. So I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that might have been more just like a writing didn't think about it thing than it's. I'll say this, I mean, they were showing enough wealth and power to make it a reasonable assumption that maybe they do have like control of like that local police force in some way or influence.
That makes sense. One scene that I did want to talk about because I really like it, it's the scene where Daniel, Adam Brody's character, dies, the brother, where the wife very clearly in these very short moments came, like you can tell she came from nothing and now revels in being super rich.
Oh yeah.
And does not want to go back.
No, she's not going to lose that, whatever it takes.
And they make that pretty clear with her character, which is really well done, to the point where she's literally willing to shoot her husband if it means not going back.
Yep.
I just really like that moment where, in my opinion, it's the magic of film, where even though I've seen this movie like 2 or 3 times before, I'm still in the moment when it's happening. Yeah. After she shoots a few times and she ends up shooting her husband in the throat accidentally, killing him, which was a rough scene. But after she fires, like the gun gets all like dropped and mixed around, Grace picks up the gun and just aims it at her and again clicks and the bullets are gone. I remember in that moment being like, oh, like you feel that. There's something about the editing or the tension that builds up in that scene of the pacing to right when that gun click hits, you're expecting like dead. And when nothing happens, you're like, oh, fuck. But again, it gives Grace a little bit of like a narrative pass.
But you couldn't blame her for doing it when they're all hunting her.
Exactly. Then we get into the scene where she smashes the mom's head in with the box, the card box.
Yeah.
Super hardcore.
Which I'm glad the box was used for one of the kills. I don't know why, but it was just very rewarding.
Yes, yeah. How many different things are used for the kills is really fun. Like, it doesn't get stale.
I wish I had a tracker of that, because that would have been fun, of like how many different weapons or instruments of death.
Just in general, instruments of death that were used. After that's when Alex comes in the room and kind of has his moment of realization, seeing his mom dead.
That broke. Yep.
And he was always a little bit selfish. There's some comments he made, which, I might be getting into a little therapy speech here, but when he talks about Grace throughout the movie, he only ever talks about how she makes him feel, which is a big red flag. It always sounds nice. It always sounds endearing when you first hear it. Like when someone asks like, oh, what's your favorite thing about your partner? And they say like, the way she makes me feel when she smiles at me. That's actually inherently selfish. That's not something that she is or does. That's something that you feel, that you're like, well, it's like a drug. It's like, oh, well, when she looks at me, I feel good. That's actually not something that is inherently something you love about her. That's something you love about what you feel when you see her.
Interesting.
All of his responses were kind of in that realm that seemed to be specific.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Because, I do think he talked very much like that, where it was more about how he felt. And I'd have to imagine that was intentional.
He calls all the family in, which kind of is him almost like taking the place of Daniel after Daniel's death, kind of stepping into the role of the older brother now. They tie her up to the table. She bites the hand because they're doing it so haphazardly. They're just trying to hold her down. They don't have time to tie her up anymore, which I did skip over the scene where I did like it where Daniel poisons all of them when they first try to.
I like it's like they'll be sick for a week or something like that. They'll be out for a week.
Yeah, they'll be shitting their brains out for a week or something, but they'll be fine or something. Yeah, like they had to make sure they're not dead. He didn't kill them.
I was like, what did you give them?
I know, what exact dosage of something did you know to give them to not like what? But yeah, so she bites their hand, and in that moment they realize the sun is rising. They fucked up, and there's a good beat. They're all kind of standing there like, the fuck? But the second that there was that beat, the first time I watched the movie, I was like, God damn it, they are gonna die. Like I almost like, because of how it was being played, I was like, they're gonna. I know what they're doing. They're gonna pull the rug out on us immediately, and that's when the fucking
beast. Somebody started doing fireworks for some goddamn reason at 11:26. Beast, stop barking, beast.
Fireworks.
So now he's getting worked out. I have no idea who it's fucking Tuesday.
I think it's Helena's the first. Oh yes, because she lifts the axe up and she's like, well, she dies either way.
Yep.
Fucking explodes. Do you remember your feeling when you first saw the movie? I know it's been a while, but so if you don't, it's okay.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it was Amanda and I were watching it, because this was a movie that we were just like going through. I don't remember if it was Amazon, but we were just going through like a bunch of different movie options, and we're like, let's try this one. And I enjoyed it, but it made me immediately think of one thing. Were they wrong? Because they were also fighting for survival. Like, whether it was fair or whatever.
Like, morally, were they wrong, is what you're saying?
Yeah, like, because, like, if okay, let's say this. They didn't have the option to not play the game, right? Like, they have to play the game as part of this curse. Then it's either they have to commit suicide, or nobody can ever get married and they can't reproduce. Like, there's a certain level. Well, I guess not commit suicide.
No, I know what you mean.
But they have to die, or for them to continue living, anybody brought in would have to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the point though, right? Is it's kind of like Daniel says, like later in the movie where he's like, maybe we just do deserve to die. And of course, this is the extreme version of that. If you think of it as like maybe a metaphor for companies and families that own these businesses that still have practices that you could consider unsavory to this day, you know, let's say like underage workers overseas or underpaid people overseas, and like shit that maybe we would not think is okay, or also built on the backs of people who did shit that was very not okay. The question becomes, do we burn it all down or continue with the facade that everything is fine? You know, like, yes, you know, like, oh, a bunch of Hershey's chocolate used to be made by children slaves in Africa. But we can't not have Hershey's. I mean, come on. We need Hershey's chocolate.
You know, I knew I always hated chocolate. I got another reason. So
you know, it's not a bad reason to hate chocolate. It's genuinely, it's actually a fair reason to hate chocolate at this point. I think it's a fun kind of metaphor for that conversation, or I don't really know, observation about rich families that have legacies built on slavery or built on just downtrodden workers in general. Do you burn that entire lineage and family line and everything and all the money for the sake of what's right? Or do you just continue on, you know, sweep it under the rug a little bit? And then every once in a while run into a hiccup that you have to, which I think is what this movie is saying, because these rituals only happen apparently once every 40 years, if that. This was only the second one in that dad's lifetime.
Kind of crazier how quickly they adapted to it for not being like a thing that they were used to doing at least like once a year or every few years.
Yeah, that you know, that is a pretty good point, but I think it's just supposed to be like they are more scared of the consequences. The consequences outweigh what they have to do. Like,
right.
And also I think it's the idea that they're so rich that they've probably gotten their hands bloody doing something else. Like the dad has probably done something worse than this just to get where he is, even beyond the hide and seek games, you know. Why don't we give our final ratings? By the way, the last line of the movie, which does kind of harken the theme of it all, you know, the jokes. The police show up, she's on the front step, which visually, I do really like that her white gown is now like literally black. Like it is so bloody that when you look at it, nasty. But I love that imagery. And then the police ask, what happened here? And it's just like, in-laws.
Yep.
Fun fact, though, apparently the original line was going to be rich people, but they felt that rich people was a little too, one, like on the nose when they came to like eat the rich and all that stuff. And also too, like not quite character, like in character for her. Like this hasn't been about rich people. It's been about family more than anything.
Yeah, no, she made it very, which also is kind of funny that she's like, you know, I'm just looking for like a family, so, you know, somewhere I belong. And like, hasn't he been like estranged from his family for years?
Yeah, well, that's something that they never really, if I had another gripe at all, is that they never talk about Samara Weaving's family at all. To the point where it's like, oh, they're not even at this wedding. She does say she has a bad past and that she doesn't, like, they're not even at the wedding.
I thought she was like a foster kid.
Yeah, but who was she like raised by and stuff? Was she fostered until she was 30 and then she met Alex? You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't, why is there no one else at that wedding that's on her side of the family? Like they never really make sense as to why it's only Alex's family.
They couldn't even make it be like, oh, well, sorry, your family couldn't afford to all travel for this wedding. Like that would have been a really good out. So like, you know, we're still going to do the wedding with your family back home when we get back or something like that.
And that can even be a purposeful thing where it's like, you can tell the families tried to separate her from everyone. I'll be like, oh, we know it's really expensive getting up here. Sorry about that. Get into our final rating. What are your final thoughts? What is your final rating for Ready or Not?
It is a 6 out of 10.
Ooh, 6 out of 10. Fair.
Because overall, I liked it. I thought it was a fun movie. Again, I think in theaters, it becomes even a more fun, more exciting. Like all movies are, but I think this was definitely like a movie theater movie.
Yes.
But I enjoyed it. I think there was just again like little things that just stood out to me, and again I liked the more thriller horror slasher kind of feel when it got serious, and I liked the comedy. I felt, and not even saying like I felt like I was watching two different movies. I don't think that this was like not cohesive in the terms of a movie, but the transitions just between those scenes like very much reminded me I was watching a movie. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, you're wrong, but I get what you're saying. No, I'm just kidding. No, I get what you mean. I've had that feeling before, for sure, in movies that we've watched on this podcast before, I'm sure. Something about the tone of it, though, works for me personally. I think it's maybe because the horror never delves far enough to where I'm still not in a mode of, like, I could laugh at any minute. Like, the black comedy of it all really makes me feel like the gore is almost intentionally funny. Like the servant on the ground, like, yes, it's very visceral and gross, but it's like funny in a way. It's almost so over the top.
That's what I mean. Like it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a horror movie.
Yeah, not by any means. Because that's why I was having trouble saying at the beginning. I was like comedy, thriller, horror, like. Because I don't want to call it a straight horror movie. It definitely is not. It's like a, not really Gremlins either. That's not a great comparison, but you know what I mean. Where it's like
a comedy thriller. Yeah, it's not like Nightmare Fuel.
No. So I like that balance. I think they did it, in my opinion, like pretty well. And that might be because I'm a big fan of like the kind of tongue-in-cheek slashers of the 90s with like, you know, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream and those kind of movies that have that inherently kind of comedic tone all throughout, even though it is a horror. That's the vibe I got from this, which ironically enough, the people who directed this and helped write the second draft, they're known as Radio Silence. They're like a 3-man group. They went on to direct 5 and 6 of Scream. So they went on to direct Scream movies. Pretty cool.
That makes sense for the style in genre, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Scream would be like in a similar category, just leaning way more on the thriller, slasher, even more horror side of it.
Yeah. Well, depends which movie. It depends which one in the series. But I give this, because I will say I'm like really harping on you when meanwhile I'm between a 7 and an 8. You know, I leaning way more.
You're like within 1 to 2 points away from me.
It's not a perfect movie or anything. It's not like, you know, it's not fucking Eternal Sunshine or anything. But it's like I'm leaning way more towards an 8. I want to give this a solid 8 because I think it's just so fun, and there's not many like black comedy horror movies like this. Kind of gives me vibes of, God damn it, Sorry to Bother You.
Oh.
Even though that was a little more fantastical, it doesn't quite go horror. You're laughing hysterically one scene, and then the next scene, you're like, I'm uncomfortable.
Shit is happening.
Yeah, like what, you know. Anyway, another great movie, and you should watch our review of that one if you haven't already.
That's so good.
Speaking of your suggestion, this is your turn to suggest a movie for next week. What do you have for me?
Tyler, are you familiar with a movie called Duck Soup?
The 1933 roughly movie? You like the original Duck Soup? Is that what you want to watch?
I've actually watched this a bunch as a child.
Groucho Marx. Hell yeah. Oh, this could be fun. Okay. This is awesome, dude. I'm so down. Yes, this is amazing. Dude, this movie's almost 100 years old. 93 years old. This movie's 93 years old.
I was born in 93. This is perfect.
Holy fuck.
This is absolutely perfect. Joseph, don't dox me.
Anybody born when this movie came out would have been 60 when you were born. Fun little note there. Who the fuck is Harpo Marx? Chico Marx, Zeppo Marx, the Marx Brothers.
The Marx Brothers. Yeah, you don't know the Marx Brothers?
I'm going to be totally honest. I knew Groucho. I didn't know that there was a gaggle of them. I didn't know we had a whole family.
I'm so excited. This is going to be fun.
Okay. Wow. So if you don't want to be spoiled for 1933's The Four Marx Brothers Duck Soup, This is awesome. Funnily enough, might line up with something I wanted to suggest pretty soon here. So that's fun. All right. Well, guys, this has been an incredible rebooted sequel rehash of the first episode of season 2. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to join our Discord. Let me try this again. Joseph, cut that. Cut all that. Please make sure to join our Discord if you want to keep up to date with all of our fun little outings. And what the hell am I talking about?
Where are we going? Don't
know.
forget to get your permission slip signed so that way we can go to the apple orchard and make fucking the apple juice.
Yeah.
Except fucking dumb Becky gets stung by a bee and we all have to go home early and fucking waste it. We didn't even get to go to the fucking little cottage village that they have set up where you can go taste the different kind of apple candy that they make. No, because Becky's fucking allergic to bees and forgot her goddamn pen.
You know, in Philly one time when I was in elementary school, everyone got to go dig up dinosaur bones, but my parents forgot to sign my permission slip, so I didn't get to go and dig up dinosaur bones. That's still, like forgot about that entirely until right now when you were talking about Becky. And like now I'm kind of physically ill thinking about how much
I made up my situation. That I did go on a field trip to an apple orchard, but it was fun and I had a great time. Nothing happened. So now I feel that I caused you actual trauma.
There's real pain here, man. I was so dinosaur bones, dude. Guys, just join the stuff that there's links in the description. It's been a long episode.
And Zelda's.
And we're yep. And also in somewhere in this house. My cat's name is Link. All right. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Neon Valley.
Peace. Peace.
No, I said peace. You can't say peace. You gotta say something different.
War.
Hell yeah.